Only those matters that we went into closed session for were discussed in closed session. I do have another motion regarding the consent agenda, moved by Doug Hutchison, second by Rob Thompson. Be it resolved that items A1 to C1 inclusive contained in Part 1 consent agenda be adopted as printed, and further that authorization be given for the action to be taken as may be necessary to give effect to the recommendations contained therein. Questions on the consent agenda? Councillor Herder.
Yes, on page 11 of the August 21st minutes, this is regarding the bridge. It says that the quote excludes hydro. I just wanted to also note that it excludes hydro and the approach work for the bridge, so that the approach work could be added to the minutes.
And the approach work. Okay.
That's all.
I'm seeing no opposition to that.
I'm not sure if that's the right terminology. I think it was landscaping in the quote, because the approach will be there. I mean, it's still, you know, we are going to be able to approach it.
Landscaping? That would be
Yeah.
excluded.
Landscaping, groundwork, or whatever put in there? Okay. There may need to be some extra gravel brought in or whatever. All right. Mr. Turner has that marked. Okay, we do have a motion moved and seconded with that one little addition. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That would carry. Thank you. All right. Committees, where are we down to? All E1. Okay, down to communications from council. Any communications from any council members from the last time we met? I'll take Councilor Lawrence first.
Thank you. Just on Sunday, I attended, I guess, the wind-up of the Snowbirds. They had Phil Englishman, who was the co-chair of the Snowbird extravaganza, was held at his hangar at the airport, and it was for the Snowbird Committee and the volunteers, and I was there from the Airport Commission. Really a nice thank you to the committee that did the work, and there was a presentation made by Phil and to the airport of $15,000 that came from the Snowbird show, and a couple of very good suggestions as to how that could be used at the airport in Capital. So it was very much appreciated too.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. Well, it's certainly, I still hear the buzzword about what a great show the Snowbirds put on, and it will be looked forward to again, I'm sure, if we could ever get them back to this area. Okay, other communications? Councillor Herder, you had your hand up.
So on Sunday, there was a community prayer service that was part of the Durham Fall Fair that I attended. That was a very nice event. The AMO conference that we went to, I was curious when we would take up discussions about everything that we learned or opportunities for our local area. Not sure when we would proceed with that discussion. Also letting everyone know that I've had discussions with the Lions Club regarding fundraising for the bridge, and so they've asked for Brent and I to get together with them and see what kind of cooperation we can have there. That's it.
Okay, thanks for that. If there's anything, reports or anything from AMO, I would presume that maybe they might come to committee of the whole. It would probably be the best place to have a little time to discuss those.
We have had a committee of the whole meeting since the AMO conference, so we'll take it up at the next committee of the whole.
I would think that'd be suitable.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate the Durham Agricultural Society for a successful fall fair. Didn't get over Friday night, but Mr. Bell might have been there on Friday night. But they had a very good parade. Saturday was fairly busy with all the horse shows and the cattle shows, sheep, and so on. And then the tractor pull on Sunday was well attended also. So I think they had a very good weekend, and congratulations to all the people involved there. One other note, this Saturday, September 9th, is the Parkinson's Walk in Hanover. If anyone wishes to take part in that, I'll be attending that and bringing greetings on behalf of West Grey.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Doug. One other thing, Councillor Herder.
Yes, this last weekend, the Normanby plowing match was out measuring in anticipation of Saturday's Normanby plowing match on WGR2 in concession 12 up near the River Place Park. So I'll be there for Saturday. And the 4-H Club is coming out for that too. That'll be their achievement day.
Okay, yeah, the plowing club, 4-H plowing club?
No, but it'll be the Normanby plowing match.
Yes.
It will be Saturday.
But the 4-H club is the plowing club that's coming out on that day also? Yes, okay. Very good. Yes, as was mentioned, I did attend the Durham Fair Friday and Saturday, and I heard they had a good turnout Sunday. Yes, at the dessert auction, I happen to know somebody that does a little auctioneering, and we raised $2,250 on 24 desserts. So, did some good things. The mayor had a unique item that he sponsored in absentee. Sponsored 6 butter tarts from a local business, Eckert's Shell and Variety, and 1 butter tart per week for a year. So that brought a couple $100 into the fold, and I did have a family member who was raised in Glenelg, and now we exported her to Bruce County a little while ago. But anyway, she made a dozen butter tarts that we sold for $160. So we kind of had a little fun, raised some money for the fair, and all had a good time that was there. And certainly that kind of community involvement and volunteerism goes a long way with items like that in the municipality, because those funds are needed. They go straight back into the fair for more exhibitors and more money, prize money for the exhibitors. And it doesn't matter whether you talk about the horse show or the dairy 4-H calf shows or whatever, those dollars are needed. So I think a successful fair was had by all, because I was talking to a couple of directors and they were very happy with the turnout of those. So anyways, Councillor Lawrence?
I understand that our West Grey float, put together by the parks, Trish and Steve won first prize for commercial.
Very good, and I did not see that. I apologize, but I was otherwise engaged. But Councillor Cutting, that's great for the parks.
It actually was an amazing float. They do a great float every year, and yes, they did win first. But it was Pioneer Ways to Modern Days, and they did a statement on recycling with the computers and the recycling materials, and on the one side of the float, or the back half of the float, was all the pioneer days of like the kettles and the fruit and the vegetables and all this stuff, and at the front side of the float was all that they went to the dump and actually got the computers and all that stuff and made a real statement as to kind of where we're going, and it was really appreciated by a lot of them. Said very innovative and very like a real statement on what we're doing today. So it was very good. They were unable to get a booth, which they wanted to promote the what do you call it when you grow? No, the when you sponsor a bench and things like that. Like, so the donation program. Thank you. They were unable to get a booth set up because the committee said they didn't have room, so that they were unable to do that. But hopefully next year or at some other event in the near future they can do that.
Okay, very good. Anything else? Any other communications? All right. Councillor Lawrence, please.
I just bring this to council's attention. We, and yourself as the rep on the Saugeen Valley, apparently there was, I won't say what it was, but there was a function there for the whole weekend at the park. And I had a call from a rather distraught resident that lives on Durham Road East. And the noise of the music and the thump, thump, thump of the bass went on and on and on, and actually spooked her animals, spooked her horses. And it was Saturday, Sunday, and part of Monday. So you might just, I'll tell you a little bit more about it, privately, but you may just take that up with conservation if they're going to rent their facilities out for something like that, because we have a bylaw around that. So, it shouldn't have happened.
Yes, and that kind of surprised me, because I'm pretty sure there's a curfew.
Yeah, the person,
Park at night also.
well, when I got the call, it was a Sunday night, and I said, gosh, I'm not aware of anything. And she thought it was coming from the town. I said, I imagine it would be coming from the park. But it didn't sound like that up there, but actually it was at the park, so.
So it was at the park, it wasn't on the south side of the river in a private?
No, they were in there for the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll take that up. Okay, very good. Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. Councillor Hutchison.
Well, I can update you a little bit on that too, because we're involved in being fairly close to the park, so we were sort of surprised too. But it was a Russian music festival that was booked by the conservation area, and apparently, after talking to some people at the conservation area, that they've had a Russian group before at Paisley come in there and been very successful. This, I guess they were a little caught off guard because this group was a bit of a younger crowd, and it was more of a rock Russian because they had a very heavy bass, and it started Friday night actually, and it went right through till Sunday, well, till Monday. But there were a lot of complaints because I know that there was we were talking to some people, and there were a lot of complaints filed, and the police were involved to get them to turn, particularly the bass, and that was the unfortunate thing. Like, I mean, you want economic activity, you want people to come to your area, and there were a lot of people come to the area, and they paid some good money to go to the concert. Unfortunately, the bass was very, very loud, and even some of their staff said they didn't realize how loud it was until they drove around to town and realized. And I was a little surprised that they didn't come to council to at least to let us know that it was happening. After talking to Mr. Broman, he said that they're going to reevaluate it and take a look at it. And they were talking about making an annual event, but that may not happen. We'll have to wait and see. But anyways, it was it was something that it did sort of violate our noise bylaw in terms of the lateness and the volume was the big thing. So, otherwise, I think it was successful.
Okay, good to know, and I do have to go over to Saugeen Valley on Monday, so we'll talk about that a little, this for a different matter, but I'll mention that and see where that is going. Obviously, if they had their function in Paisley last time, that is out in the country, and would not disturb as many people, so that idea should surely have to be broached again, because yeah, I can see it going downtown along the riverbed. Sound travels across water and a few things like that, and it could be a little loud. So good to know about that, because no, that doesn't need to happen again. Councillor Herger.
So do we have a special events noise bylaw? Or would we consider something like that? I know we've had several people come in and ask about special events. If that were the case, then they would have to come to us and let us know about it. Our police then might know about it in advance of it actually taking place. And then we could still set the parameters about number of decibels after a certain time period. I think it would be something that we should consider.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, my recollection is council did consider a special bylaw, but after they got into it, there seemed to be many more questions than answers, so I think they relented. In this case, the noise bylaw would come into play, so they could have come before council requesting an exemption, and that would have been one way to kind of put mitigation measures in to limit the level of the noise and perhaps the hours of operation. Certainly, if council wishes me to review other special events bylaws that other municipalities have and bring something for consideration. I know there's a lot of issues such as weddings out in the country when they lease tents and then they have music playing. Do we want to regulate that? Obviously, we had another individual here for the rental.
Ground effect.
Yeah, the ground effects landscaping property, and you know what we went through with the abate property to legally recognize that through bylaw and site plan agreement. And I understand there's a similar event that may be happening out in the country that council may have to address in time as well. So, yeah, I'm open to bringing some information back if council directs me to do that.
Okay, very good, Mark. I know we went through that. I think probably in this particular case, if we would have had a little, shall we say, forewarning, I think that we maybe could mitigate some of the extenuating circumstances, recognizing it's a one of. I think that a gentle little reminder to Saugeen Valley about the people along both the top of the park and the bottom of the park, if we as council members know about what's going on beforehand, we can answer some of those questions, and probably the curfew idea has to be adhered to, I think, and it is in other parks, and I'm not exactly sure why it wasn't this time, so we'll ask those questions. Go ahead, Carol.
The volume too, Mr. Mayor, and I mean, you were saying that they had been at Paisley last year, but there's an awful difference. There's no houses close by at Paisley. That's right in a residential area, actually, so.
No, very good point, so we'll address that. Okay, thank you. Very good, if that's all then, on that item, we're a little past the 10:15 mark, but Helena Hayes wants to chat with us about the Diefenbaker House in Newstead. Helena, do you want to go to the podium, please? Yes. Would probably be the best, and turn the mic on so Adam can record to TV land as what you know, just bottom on the right-hand side. I think it's a gray button, maybe. There you
Got
go.
it.
You're live.
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome
Perfect.
this morning, Helena.
Thank you. So I guess I'm one half of the crazy duo that bought the Diefenbaker property. We are definitely not looking to, renovate it entirely or anything like that, but the current bylaw doesn't really have a lot of clarity about what we need to come to you with in terms of what we want to change. We did buy it knowing the history. I majored in history and political science in university. I'm the vintage truck out front. I don't have anything new, so no worries there. But there are some things, as it's been basically deteriorating for a number of years now, that we will have to update in order to make it livable. The biggest one is probably the windows. Most of them are broken, and we have a number of critters we need to evict due to this. Raccoons, bats, we just found out, mice, and an impressive amount of bugs. So the sills themselves are actually rotted along the bottom for a lot of them, the ones that weren't turned to cement. I guess the previous owner had made some of them cement. So we've gotten them. We've reached out to a local company, Jim MacArthur, and drew up some custom ones for us so that we're not really changing the overall look of the front. They'll be the same as they are now, but they will have screens and locks, which will be great, and things like that, as well as energy efficient. So I was hoping to get sort of your view on that. It shouldn't change the view of the house from the front. And I guess that's the main one that would be done immediately. The front door as well, we need to put a different door on it. The bottom of it is all rotted out, and the bugs are getting in. Other than that, I think we're mostly there's nothing being done to the interior at the moment. We're just repainting it, cleaning it. The summer kitchen off the back, prior to our taking over, someone went through the floor, and upon lifting what they had used to cover it, there is nothing underneath. There's no subflooring or anything. It's literally the dirt. So if there is some sort of interior thing that we need to go through, we'll need to get your permission to remove the flooring in the addition that was on the back so that we can put proper flooring in the bottom, and so that we survive the winter. Things like that. But other than that, I guess I'm just looking for clarity in terms of what it is that you would like me to come to you with if I'm going to be changing things, interior, exterior. The bylaw doesn't really have anything specific to let us know what we can and can't change. Same with the property. Like, I'm sure you don't want me here every week being like, hi, I'd like to plant a shrub. But like, if you could just let me know sort of what you'd like me to come to you with, I'd be happy to do so. Just looking for some clarity.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much, Helena, for coming. This is a bit of a unique situation. Recognize that, yes, the Diefenbaker property, Mr. Diefenbaker was born there and left at 7 years old or whatever for Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So, but his property is there. I'm going to let Mark has been dealing with the Ontario Heritage Registrar. I'm going to let him get a little overview to council of what he knows, and then if you would entertain any questions here.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
So the property was designated by the former Newstead Council. Sorry. So the former Newstead Council passed a bylaw, number 461, on August 9th of 1979, designating the property known as, as 146 Barbara Street in Newstead as an Ontario Heritage property because it was the former birthplace of John Diefenbaker. So it is on the Ontario Heritage Registrar. So West Grey does not have a local architectural conservation advisory committee, or LACAC as it is known, as an acronym. If they did, then that committee would go and assess the proposed renovations and then determine if there would be any impacts on the heritage features. And because there's no LACAC, council then by default has that responsibility. Now, the bylaw that was passed by the former Newstead Council only designated as a heritage property because of being the birthplace of the former Prime Minister John Diefenbaker. It did not reflect any kind of, or indicate any kind of heritage features of the building or the property itself. So it's very vague, general. Typically, it would be more exhaustive in terms of what the heritage features would be. So I've had conversations, obviously, with Patrick mainly on emails, and then I've had some conversations with the Ontario Heritage Trust. Most notably, Scott Fraser, the director of the Heritage Programs and Operations for Ontario Heritage Trust. In response to an email I sent him about this matter, he emailed me back on August 30th and indicated that the safest approach in his mind is for council to visit the property, to properly assess if there are any significant heritage features that might be impacted. And Mr. Fraser also noted that council may want to update that bylaw if upon the visit they do deem that there are heritage features that should be recognized and then retained, obviously, in the future. And then he was good enough too to offer a staff person to accompany the visit of council if deemed necessary or appropriate to assist with the process. So if there are any questions, I can certainly help to answer. You had mentioned interior renovations, but right now you're only painting at this point?
So the actual interior, just aside from the things that we need to remove, the critters and things, the floors are actually really flat and straight. The only thing that we're really doing interior-wise is there was some sort of a flood in the basement, so the oil tank and all the subsequent parts of it, other things that are in basements, they got ruined, so they're just coming in to put a new one in and things like that. Nothing is actually being changed. Like, I looked up what's usually protected in heritage buildings, and it's like often the brickwork and the, we're not changing any of that. We're not even changing anything in the interior. The only thing in the interior I could think of that might be considered historical is the woodwork above the stairs is very unique, fancier. Maybe there's two front doors, one of them's rotted, so we need to remove that one. But the second one, and I don't even think it's a historical door. I think it was just a storm door. But the main door, it has like the original like iron and brass, and we're keeping all of that. Like, we want to keep as much as we possibly can. We just want to make sure that we can live in it without the wildlife. So we need to just update the windows, but they are going to look essentially exactly like they do now, except that they're going to be energy efficient, and none of them lock as well. So there's a bit of a home security issue currently. Same with the doors, like they're all the original, don't tell anyone. They're all just the original, like old doors, the like farm doors and stuff. So we do need to just update little things like that. As far as that goes, I honestly I can't see us changing anything that would be considered historical. And we have people hopping up on the porch to take selfies all the time while we're working. And we're like, we totally understand that part. We're completely welcoming to that. We're not about to put up like no trespassing signs unless something terrible happens. But for the most part, it's nothing extreme that we're doing. We're just looking to make it more livable. The other thing, which also I don't think would affect heritage in any way, is we just need to re-insulate the attic after getting the bats out because they made a big mess. And same with the one above the addition on the summer kitchen. We need to block that in because there's been some gross things happening up there. But other than that, I think that's all we're doing. Like, I don't think we'll be changing anything that would be considered heritage. It will look the same. It will just be, I mean, our neighbors are all so helpful and excited now that they know we're not coming to flip it and then rent it out or something like that, that we actually want to make it our home. So they've been coming with like tools and pies. And so we're really excited about the community. Someone even brought over a turkey pot pie for us for dinner once. Yeah, like, so it's been really great. But we need to get the windows done as fall's coming and it's freezing in there even in the summer from the draft and the windows and stuff. But if that one could maybe be approved. I think there's pictures that Patrick probably emailed you. They look just like the ones that are there now. They'll be a little more modern, but they're going to be white with the cross down the middle and the outline of the window, like all that will remain to the best of their ability. But other than that, I think that's really the only modern thing. Oh, and there was one more thing, I guess, that we would need to go through is just, there's no driveway right now. So we're currently having to park on the road or on the grass when we come in. We just wanted to put like a driveway on the right side. Someone told me who's lived there for 60 years that there actually used to be one there. So perhaps we're actually bringing it back to its historical look by throwing one in, but it won't be paved or fancy or anything. We really want to keep the overall look of it, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, you've told us a lot of information in a short time.
Sorry.
First of all, welcome to West Gray, and
Thank you.
you will find that the people in Newstead are very friendly, and they do eat very well. By the number of different suppers that they have and a few things
Yeah.
like that, very community engaged. But
It's great.
well, next of all, I think it's very necessary to take some questions from council, but you've given us a pretty good idea. I saw Councillor Hutchison's first, and then Councillor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Hi, Helen. I think, first of all, congratulations. A lot of people in Newstead will be happy to hear that someone's bought the house that's going to restore it to a certain extent, because as you know, even today, people come into Newstead and they always look for the house. And
Yeah.
where's the Don Diefenbaker house? And so I know there is a sign on the front of it now. I'd hope that maybe you would keep that, or you're maybe looking at some
yeah.
signage that
We'll
you're
keep it.
okay with that, because you
Totally.
are going to get travelers popping
Yeah.
by.
We were discussing with the brewery, I guess they used to have like days that they would come through, and we were saying like maybe they could like advertise a specific day so that, because sometimes it's a little scary when someone peeks in the window, the front porch. So maybe just like advertising like, Saturday afternoons they can come to the property or something. No, we aren't going to remove the plaque or anything like that.
Yeah, great.
That would
great.
stay, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And actually, I was through your house before it sold, and when the museum was just moving out of there, as you realize it was, and they were taking it. And I was quite surprised how good a shape it was,
Yeah.
really, when you look at it, considering the age of the building. So yeah, I think it's great that you're going to try to restore some things and keep it up. So yeah, congratulations, and the people in Newstead will be happy to hear
Yeah.
what you're doing.
We're just giving it some love,
Yeah.
not renovating.
Thank Councillor Doug. Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you, and I just want to repeat Doug's comments, and I'm really glad someone has bought it that realizes the importance of it. I just wondered if you were saying the people are so good, have you made contact with the business group, and mostly in particular Carol Dick?
No.
They keep there's a website for Newstead, and they add things to it, and I know they've been concerned about that house for a long time.
Oh, okay.
So she's at Village Creations every other day, and her
Okay.
name's Carol Dick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might just touch base with her, and when you're ready to, say, advertise for a Saturday,
Yep.
that would be a good place for it, because it is an attraction to Newstead. So,
For sure.
yeah.
No, I will
Okay.
for sure. That's great. Yeah, we're just waiting. We have to put in a bat house in the back so that they move in there and not hopefully like a neighbor's house. But as soon as we get all those things done, we were thinking about, because it's not in the best shape right now, so we have a lot to do. But that would be really good to get in touch with that person. And Carol, you said?
Yeah, Carol Dick.
Carol Dick. Okay.
Yeah,
DY.
D-Y-C-K.
At Village Creations. Got it.
Village.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Lawrence. Councillor Cutting, please.
Just one added thing is that for the historical homes, a big part of it too is keeping the color schemes
Yeah.
the same as what they would have been historically. So
Yeah.
you don't have bright pink doors and things like that? Just, okay.
I'm not a
good.
colorful person.
Good.
I'm very neutral. No, it's got like dark brown or I guess burgundy, the wainscoting and the trim. The previous owner painted that for the museum, I think. I'm not a fan of this color. I will not lie. I'm really sorry if someone is, but we're just painting it all like a white, off-white. So yeah, it'll be, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's entirely up to them, or do we need to? Like who? No, okay. She was conferring with the clerk and myself here, Mr. Crosby. All right. No, that's a question. We're going in direction. Okay. What is the wish of council at this time? Councillor Hergert.
So I'd like to see just an exhaustive list, like you verbally told us, but just a list of things and their priority, like windows and doors, probably before winter. I'd like to see somebody from council go look at it, confirm the colors and such, that they would be maintaining the historical significance there. But maybe also we should look to have someone come from the Ontario Heritage to have that first meeting, just so that you get through the renovations that you'd like to have done.
Okay, that's one idea. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I like your ideas, but I don't think it's necessary. They want to get this work done before winter, and there's a time frame in here. She understands what needs to be done, and you have a good handle on the upgrades to the home. Yeah, it'd be nice someday maybe talk to Ontario Heritage, but I don't think it's necessary at this point. I think they have a great handle on it, and let's move forward. Somebody's here to take care of the building. Let's keep it.
Okay, Councillor Lawrence.
Well, I agree with Rob, and we have to remember this is private property. It's not owned by the municipality. But I was also going to suggest, if you want to talk to somebody from council, you talk to Bev Cutting. Bev, it's her job, her career, in terms of decorating and landscaping and stuff like that. So if you just wanted to touch base with somebody
Yeah,
privately.
that would be great.
And I have redone 2 or 3 historical properties.
Oh, you would be great to talk to then, yes.
Okay, the
wonderful.
other thing I heard from a infrastructure point, and I think Mark might have it recorded, they are, I'm pretty sure, do a driveway. So if we can get hold of our Public Works people to make sure that that happens, especially for the wintertime coming up.
Yeah.
Regarding snowplow operations, I don't think we want the cars left on the streets, so I think that's one very important thing that has to be done.
Okay.
To move that along. But I think, Helen, I'm hearing that the council wants you to continue your renovations. I think it's very important to evict the boarders that have maybe been there without paying rent for the coming year.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can get your attic organized
Yes.
before winter time. That's very important. And yes, you're doing lots of, I'm going to say, cosmetic little things.
Yeah, they're small.
Very important to get your oil tank organized, or else it's going to be a long winter also. So I think I can say safely that council is very glad that you have purchased the home and you're willing to upgrade it, because it has sat idle a little bit too long.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than a building, if nobody's living in it, deteriorates very quickly. So
Yeah.
I think with that idea, as to okay. Well, we do have a, well, I'll pass this down here. We'll just take a moment. We might, there's a motion here that we might add and subtract to here going forward.
Yeah, that would be great.
Bring it up and add it to it. If you want to sign it, we'll put it.
The driveway is, with the renovations, it's noted in during the council minutes, yeah.
Councillor Rob.
I was just wondering, Mark, are we going to revisit this old 79 bylaw from the Village of Newstead, or was that, look at it and rework that bylaw to,
If council wishes to do that, then it would be appropriate to conduct a site visit, probably with the assistance of the Interior Heritage Trust staff person. So that's, whether before or after the renovations, it sounds like it might be after the, if this is approved.
Councillor Rebecca first, and then Councillor Lawrence.
So I was just going to say, it does seem like you're putting in a lot of effort to this property. Could we agree that the windows could be done, the doors could be done, the insulation to the attic, the oil tank, the subfloor, and the driveway at this moment?
Can I introduce the
Be done.
motion then, and then we might have a little more clarity when we do that, okay? I do have a motion here, okay? But I'll take Councillor Lawrence had her hand up.
Yes, thanks. I just wondered, and rather than revisiting the bylaw, this bylaw, Mark, would still stand. If perhaps these people in a few years sold the property, it would stand as it is without any revisions, right? And I wouldn't be adverse to that motion, but I think it needs to say any further repairs or renovations that need to be done to winterize it. I mean, I have a problem with us saying what people can and can't do in their home. Other than, I mean, they've said they're going to keep it historical, and that's great, but, you know.
Yes. Yep, no, and I think that most of us here would agree with that assessment, Councillor Lawrence, but I'll just introduce this, and maybe we might, if we need to make a couple little additions, this, we can, but it's been moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by Doug Hutchison. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby approves the proposed interior renovations and replacement of windows by Patrick and Helena Hayes, owners of the John Diefenbaker House at 146 Barbara Street, Newstead, as presented during the September 6, 2017 council meeting.
So that just says windows, right?
It does say renovations and replacement of windows. Interior, yes, proposed interior renovations and replacement of windows.
So it doesn't say anything about the driveway?
We could put in driveway here if you...
And driveway,
I would add that, just add driveway.
driveway. Okay, driveway has been ordered. Of course, that'll have to go through our infrastructure chairman, and that'll have to be looked at, which isn't, and there's certain fees that goes with the driveway, but that can be done. Councillor Lawrence, again, please.
Thank you. I have a question, if I may. You said you're not going to replace, at least you're going to fix the door. You're going to keep the historical door. Just for curiosity, because can't tell you what to do, but your windows, are you replacing but with up-to-date?
Yeah, they're modern now, so they won't be exactly the same. Those ones are wooden, and but they're the same. So I'm not like this person, but I hopefully you understand. So the windows have just like the cross down the middle, like
Right.
this, and some of them are just like different
So-
shapes. They're not all square, so they're being done in like the shape that they are now. Yeah, with
So
the
they'll
wood
ref-
surrounding.
Yeah,
them.
they'll reflect the historical
Yeah,
style.
they'll look. Yeah, I think it would be very difficult to tell that we removed, like that we changed them, other than that they would have screens and locks on them.
Well, you have to have good
Yeah.
windows if you're going to live in it.
Definitely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, very good.
And they're in white too, I should mention, like they are now. So everything will be the same color.
Okay. We do have a motion on the floor. It's been duly moved and seconded. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That would carry. All right,
and
Helena?
thank you. There were some things that were done before we took over the property. I assume over the last years by prior owners and things like that. I don't know if those went through council, like they reinforced the basement so that the house didn't start. Things that were probably why it's in such good shape now. We aren't held responsible for something that would have been done prior to our.
To my recollection, there
Taking
has
over.
been no one here discussing construction ideas about this house before. And
Okay.
since anybody's been on the council here for West Grey anyway,
For your own protection, maybe take some pictures
Okay,
as it
that's what
stands
I was
now.
thinking. Yeah.
that would be
Okay,
a very good
perfect.
idea.
I think all the historical things, like from what I see, is all the fancy brickwork and the things along the rim of the house. All of that is still there, but some of it has fallen off. I mean, the house has been deteriorating for a while, so maybe I'll just document what fell off, and so that I did not knock it off myself.
Very
But
good.
we've even looked into antique shops to see if we can get a replacement for it, so hopefully it'll be all even soon. But thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you, Helena, for coming, bringing this to our attention, and good luck going forward. Some of those people that might want to look at the property someday and see what's going on
Yep.
might even be some of these counselors or myself.
Yes, please
Might-
do, when
Might
it's done.
stop and see how the progress is going, but
Yeah, we joked
so-
we'd have a big barbecue when it was done.
sounds like an exciting project for you.
Yeah, we're excited.
Very good.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. We're down to business arising from the previous meeting. Is there any business arising from the previous meeting? I don't see any at this time. Staff reports is on next. I think maybe Mr. Turner is bringing Ms. Mighton. And we always, okay. Thank you. Oh. Okay. We do have the Director of Finance Treasurer with us. Welcome, Carrie. The accounts have been in front of you for a few days now. Is there any questions, first of all, for Carrie on any of the accounts in the package? Councillor Hergert.
So there was $800 for a...
Can we have a page number, please, as
yes.
to what that's about?
may. After page 40. I don't have one here, just a moment.
Tap your screen. There you go. You're on page 42.
I know, but I'm trying to look for the $800.
Going forward, maybe we can,
Sure.
Carrie might,
If there's a question, go ahead.
Carrie might remember what it's about if you give her an idea.
So the walkway bridge signage for $800, would you explain what that's about, please?
The sign one was vandalized or stolen, and also the other one needed refinished or repaired, so it was, those were both completed.
So for $800, we got both of them refurbished. Would it,
No, new one.
One was new, because one was stolen.
okay, would it have been appropriate to bring that forward to council or just to have one of those signs repaired, seeing as how we are going forward with a totally new design and bridge?
Mr. Mayor, can I speak to that?
Councillor Lawrence.
The one that was stolen contained the names of the original committee that developed that bridge. And if it wasn't for that committee, there would be no bridge. Town of Durham was going to demolish that bridge and leave a huge hole. That committee got together, raised the money, did the bridge. And that sign deserves to be there, and it was stolen. It's not a new sign, it was stolen. If there's something new comes with the new refurbishment, that's fine. Also, the sign was designed and made by Ron McManus in the beginning. So he has pictures, and he was able to reproduce it exactly as it was.
Okay. Mr. McManus found something to do in his very well-deserved retirement from SVCA for years. Okay. Any other questions about any of the items? Councillor Herder.
One other thought, RFP for legal services, it seems that we use several lawyers for various different specialties possibly. Do we have a specific vendor, or have we ever had a quotation from a lawyer for legal services?
Maybe ask Carrie to elaborate on that, please.
Yeah, he and Johnson did sort of general, or Johnson Schwartz, I should say, did general, and it's probably been a few years since the RFP had gone out with that. Depending on the specialty involved in the case, we use different lawyers if it's not something that his firm would handle.
Thanks, Carrie. Okay. Recognizing the accounts, no other questions. I do have a motion moved by Doug Hutchison, seconded by Rob Thompson. Be resolved that the Director of Finance Treasurer be authorized to pay the accounts presented as voucher number 16-2017 of the Municipality of West Grey in the amount of $695,832.02. Councillor Lawrence.
Before you call that, and I'm sorry, I was remiss, back to the Ron McManus, is that the proper account to charge that to, Carrie? Street Lighting Heritage Bridge? It's like signs went to under Public Works, and that was a sign, has nothing to do with the street lighting, or?
Yeah, it was more of a bridge expense. If we were treating it more like maintenance in that street lighting department. There would be, if there was still hydro hooked up to the bridge, the hydro cost would be there, and then if we had lights that we were buying or any of the small maintenance kind of items. So because we're not doing any of that, we felt it appropriate to
Put it to street lighting? Because we did put signs.
It's a bridge expense though as well.
Right,
Like there is
okay.
no separate sign budget in the Public Works.
Oh, okay.
Out of Public Works miscellaneous.
Okay.
Indirectly, the Public Works is in charge of street lighting as well. It's still under Brent's purview.
Okay.
But it was felt that since we weren't incurring those expenses for the bridge and this was directly related
So,
to the bridge.
where in Public Works do we find costs for signs? Because there's a lot of other signs that need to be updated. What?
If it's safety signs,
No.
he has specific safety signs.
I'm thinking of the signs, for instance, for the industrial park and the signs coming into town, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we have no specific budget item for that. That would, the signs at the industrial park, I would go to the economic development budget, not the Public Works.
But it would be under Public Works purview to look after it or get it done or whatever, because we did take signs from parks and put it under Public Works
The
here.
Economic Development Committee has been working on that through, and then the former CAO.
Are they also working as far as the signs coming into town?
Those ones, the parks are sort of.
So they're still under
Steve's in
parks?
charge, yeah.
Okay. Am I wrong? No, did we not put signs under Public Works here?
Yes.
We did, yeah.
And Steve is a Public Works employee, it's just.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's the landscaping around the signs, and
That's
parks
parks.
gets involved, so
Yeah.
it's a very
Right,
same
Gray line.
person.
okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. We do have a motion on the floor. No other discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That would carry. Thank you. Okay, Carrie, there's no other items from you then today? Just the vouchers, that's all? Thank you very much. Okay. We do have, the Director of Infrastructure was supposed to be here, ladies and gentlemen, but he does have another commitment at this time that he kind of forgot about, but he does have a couple of gentlemen sitting in his office right now, and he is fairly tied up. He said if he had any questions between Mark and I think we thought we might be able to, Councillor Lawrence, yes, we might be able to answer them regarding anything here. If not, we'll have to unfortunately put it over to another day.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, we just...
Councillor Lawrence?
Well, we just dealt with this last week at the Normanby Rec, and so you're aware, that money has come in from Homecoming. And the one that is being, I haven't got my iPad here, but if the attachment, it is the one at the bottom, PMSTAF04LS, the one at the bottom, and they're purchasing 20, and there are 20 poles that have the hydro hookup. And in the meantime, they are also looking for some sponsors, and I think there's so far 3 sponsors that are going to sponsor some of these. So certainly, if there's sponsors, that money can be used because they're also working on the signs coming into town. and that's going to be about an $18,000 expense. There's 15 coming from homecoming. But, you know, between juggling the two, we should be able to. It's certainly going to look nice.
No doubt, and just to clarify then, Councillor Lawrence, and I know the answer, but for everyone else, this is money that has been raised 100% by the Homecoming Committee, and
Yeah.
there is no dollars attached to the levy.
No, there's no
West
levy
Grade.
dollars at all. If there's any extra cost, it's coming from the Norman B fundraising.
Very good, and if I know the people in that part of the world, their fundraising efforts will not quit. So we look forward to that. Any other question on that item? Okay. We look forward to seeing those. Hopefully some, do I have a motion? Oh, we have a motion prepared. Look forward to seeing some of those, and hopefully, hopefully in the next 4 months. I'm not sure what their timeline is, Councillor Lawrence, but perhaps maybe some of these might be done by Christmas, or?
Yes, probably. They're hoping by the lighting of the Christmas tree, which is the first part of December.
Very good. We'll look forward to that. Okay. I do have a motion here prepared, moved by Rebecca Hergert, seconded by Carol Lawrence. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby accepts the price for 20 silhouette pole mounts from Sheer Display. Item number PMSTA FO4LS 4-foot silhouette festive stars in the amount of $11,266.86 plus HST, with the proceeds coming from the Norman B Recreation Advisory Committee fundraising account.
I'm wondering if that's sufficient, or it needs to say something about the homecoming as provided by the homecoming or as donated by the homecoming committee.
I can add that as,
Yeah, because I don't think it's in the budget.
as provided
Like,
by,
no, it's flowing through the rec committee, but
yes, it'll be going through the recommending, but it's provided by the Ayton Homecoming? Is it
Yeah.
Ayton Homecoming Committee? Well, I was just wondering that myself.
I think I'd put 8/Normanby maybe. Yeah.
Homecoming Committee. Okay, so we have added that, provided by Ayton Normanby Homecoming Committee. Okay, everybody's good with the motion? Call the question, all in favor? Opposed, if any, and that would carry. All right. Very good. That item of business being finished. I think we're down now to the clerk's report, and I think that's on about page 31, am I? 61, I'm sorry. Yes, 61, all right. Mr. Turner, welcome, go ahead, please.
Yeah, the first item, just seeking council direction. It's from an email from the President and CEO of National Airlines. Council of Canada, Massimo Bergamini, calling for the Government of Canada to renounce basically the privatization of Canada's airports and creating a system to improve present operations of the airports.
Okay. That's in the long and the short of that. And Mark's looking for a little direction here. Councillor Hutchison, I see your fingers on the pulse.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need to stay publicly funded or publicly owned. I don't think at this time privatization is the answer for the major airports anyways. We're not talking some of the smaller ones, so I would support the resolution to keep them under the government's handle.
All right. Councillor Lawrence?
I would certainly support that. I think it's important to keep it under government, government maintaining it, because there's all kinds of things they're downloading. For instance, our airport, we've always had the GPS approach and so on was covered. by the feds, or not by feds, but by NAV Canada, and that's been discontinued. It's going to cost the airport, I think it's about $4,500 a year. They're going to have to pay for that now. So you can imagine if it went private. And then, I mean, if those kind of costs are downloaded, then that cost goes to the person that's traveling, because those costs are all put down. So I think it's important to support this.
The shortfall would have to be made up somewhere for sure, and we pretty well know who that's going to be. It will be the people using the airport. Okay? I do have a motion prepared. It is fairly lengthy. It has been moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by Doug Hutchison. Whereas in a country as vast and sparsely populated as Canada, safe and efficient air transportation is essential to connecting families and communities and to continued economic prosperity. Whereas Canada's airports are vital assets that contribute to the quality of life and economic growth in the cities, communities, and regions they serve. Whereas media reports indicate that the Government of Canada is actively considering selling Canada's airports for private entities to achieve a one-time financial windfall. Whereas the international experience in airport privatization has often resulted in higher fees and reduced services for travelers and airports as a result of efforts to maximize return on investment. Whereas such outcomes would negatively affect communities of all sizes across Canada by making air travel more expensive and reducing service. Whereas the last decade has seen a massive increase in the number of Canadians using air travel to connect with loved ones, enjoy well-deserved vacations, and explore the country or help create jobs. Whereas any increase in fees on air travel resulting from the privatization of airports would constitute an unfair tax on Canada's middle class. Whereas divestiture of airports to local not-for-profit authorities in 1994 led to massive user-financed investments in airport infrastructure, which had given Canada an enviable network of world-class airports. Whereas the physical infrastructure of airports has been modernized, the governance system upon which they operate has not kept up with the times and is now in urgent need of repair, whereas that situation would only be exacerbated in a privatized for-profit system. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey calls on the Government of Canada to renounce its push for the for-profit privatization of airports, Canada's airports, and clear the way for needed improvements to the current airports governance and financing system. And be it further resolved that Canada urges the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, bring this matter forward for emergency debate at the next meeting of its National Board of Directors.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, or Vice Deputy Mayor. You said the last clause, you said Canada urge, that I hope is the Municipality of West Grey.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey calls on the Government of Canada.
The next one down.
Oh. To renounce its push.
No, be it resolved that.
Oh, be it further resolved that Council? Oh,
No, you said Canada, so
I'm
I just
sorry.
wanted, so as long as it says Council of
Okay.
West Grey. Okay, thanks.
Excuse me, Council? No problem. All right, everybody's clear in motion. Councillor Herder.
Can I just ask two questions? 1, 2, 3, third paragraph, just clarifying that it says airports to for-profit entities?
Yes?
Okay. And the next paragraph, whereas the international experience in airport privatization?
Yes?
Yep, okay. That's good.
Okay. Any other questions on the motion? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That would carry. All right. Motion took so long that my light went out on my computer. Okay. Keep the light on, exactly. All right, Mr. Turner, the next item of business, please.
Yeah, the multi-municipal wind turbine working group has sent an email from Garth Manning, Queen's Counsel, and a member of CC Sage Naturally Green, seeking support for the application for judicial review relating to industrial wind turbines. They're alleging an infringement on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and violations of the principles of natural justice and discrimination against rural Ontario. So they are seeking council support. I do have a resolution that they have crafted appropriate for council to pass if they deem it to be supported.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Turner. Questions about this particular item of business? Councillor Hutchinson.
Well, not so much a question, but I'd just like to make a statement that as far as wind turbines, I'm not totally against wind turbines. I think the problem here is that the process is flawed, and I have no problem supporting this. I think they're fighting a losing battle in some cases because the government's already said that it is what it is, and we don't have a lot to say. So I think it's worth a try. As far as right now, we don't really need the extra electricity, so that's another thing that's going against putting up more windmills. So I can support this. I mean, good luck with it. And in the future, hopefully the government will revamp this and take a look at it and maybe try to work with municipalities in terms of any more windmills in the future.
Okay, thanks, Doug. Councillor Lawrence.
Well, I would certainly support that, Mr. Mayor, and I don't believe they're not asking for any kind of financial help. It's just our support. And we all know the problems with turbines can cause, so yeah, if they're not in the right place, and as ours aren't.
That was in the letter, I believe, that they are not looking for financial support. And I'm not going to say at this time. That wasn't mentioned either. But
I think if you look, the lawyer acting is a pro bono. Yeah.
so far, yes, that is the case, yes. Okay. Bear with me, please. Has been moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by Bev Cutting. Whereas the Council of the Municipality of West Grey has read and considered the notice of application for judicial review and the notice of constitutional question filed by C.C. Sage, Naturally Green in Ottawa Divisional Court, court file number 15-2162, and in parentheses, the application. And whereas recognizing that concerns about the specific WPD White Pines project approved by the respondent, director, minister, and board are particular to the municipality of Prince Edward County and its residents, this council endorses the more general challenge to the Green Energy Act and its ancillary legislation as set out in the application for the following reasons. Number one, Green Energy Act 2009, SO 2009, C12, Schedule A, Section 5, strips municipalities of rural Ontario and their residents, but not those of urban or suburban Ontario, of statutory rights to enact, rely on, and claim the benefit of sound land use planning principles. Number two, Environmental Protection Act, Section E19, Section 142.1, unduly limits the rights of residents of rural Ontario to challenge the respondent's decision to issue the REA, while the rights afforded to a proponent of a Class 4 wind facility are unrestricted. Number three, Ontario Energy Board Act SO 1998, Section 15, Schedule B, Section 96.2, unduly restricts the matters to be considered in assessing the public interest in granting leave to construct an electricity transmission or distribution line. Number four, Planning Act, RSO 1990, Section P13, 62.0.2 eliminates the right of rural municipalities and their residents to exercise sound planning principles in respect of industrial uses of land within their jurisdiction. Number five, Electricity Act 1998, SO 1998, Section 15, Schedule A, Section 41, eliminates the right of rural municipalities to influence or direct the installation of electricity transformation or distribution lines connected to renewable energy projects on roads owned and maintained by the municipality. Number six, Ontario Regulation 282/98 under the Assessment Act provides preferential rates of assessment to proponents of industrial wind turbines to the prejudice of host communities. Now, therefore, be resolved that these matters are of direct concern to this council, and we endorse the efforts of C.C. Sage, Naturally Green, in challenging the validity and constitutionality of this legislation. And yes, I'm done. Councillor Lawrence.
Would you just check the court file number that's listed there? You said 16, but it's 15 to 2162.
I did. Okay, no, I didn't say number 15-2162.
No, you said 16. But it is 15, is it listed as 15?
It is 15 here,
Yeah,
yes.
that is supposed to be.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
thanks.
you for that. No, it's number 15-2162. All right. Any other questions on the motion? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That would carry. Okay. Very good. Next item, Mr. Turner, you have something from the Grey County Clerk's Department.
The County of Grey has passed a resolution requesting member municipalities to consider the direct election of the warden for a 4-year term, beginning in the 2018 municipal election. If approved, it would require a triple majority, being the majority of county council approval, both by the number of member municipalities and the weighted voting, and then the majority of the local Grey County municipalities. So I'm seeking council direction. It certainly would have some implications in terms of the administration of the 2018 municipal elections. It would be, we'd have to have certain policies and procedures, how that's going to work, how votes are going to be tallied through lower tier municipalities and then through the county council. So that would be another item that we'd have to address with our policies and procedures. As you know, we're going with internet and telephone voting, so that's being worked on as we speak. So there is that part of it, so I'll leave it to council for any other direction.
Okay, thanks, Councillor, or sorry, not Councillor, maybe, no, you don't want that job, do you? No. Clerk Mark, thank you. Councillor Lawrence, please.
Thank you. I would have some great concerns about this. First of all, you would have, if it was at large, you honestly could get anyone. There's no qualifications. You could very well get someone who wouldn't be qualified to be warden. That person would be there for 4 years. If you had a problem, you have no way of removing that person. They're there. My concern is they could well be coming with absolutely no knowledge of county and lower tier government and issues that face us. They would have no connection to a lower tier. So again, they're not aware of the issues that we're facing and problems. It would be an additional cost to the ratepayers, probably, I'm going to say in the amount of $100,000, because you look at what Roger Anderson at the region of Durham, now mind you, that's much larger, but he is elected at large now, but also came from municipality, so has, you know, he has that knowledge. I did sit on county council for 19 years. And I sat with many wardens. Some were excellent, some were good, and some were not so good. And I think the system that they have now, which is continuing, you have the opportunity, if the warden is good and you want him to continue, you can elect for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, if that's the choice of council. Or at the end of a year, someone else can be elected to, you know, to lead the county. I think it would be a huge mistake, but I will not be supporting this.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Lawrence. And presently, the system is for anybody that's not familiar, it is 1 year plus another year, but it is voted upon at that time, so, okay?
And John, if I'm not mistaken, there's not a cap on 2 years, I don't think.
No,
No, I mean, if you wanted it 3 or if you wanted it 4,
don't
the
believe
council.
it hasn't happened, but there is no cap.
No.
You are correct.
Right.
Okay. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I think Councillor Lawrence has summed it up, and we don't have to repeat it. I'm not supporting this either. I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay. And Mark's indicating that we should do a resolution to send back to county that if we don't support this after the vote, then that's what we'll do, okay? Send that down there. Councillor Hutchison, yes?
Yeah, I just like to make a comment that I agree. I don't think the system's broken, so I'm not sure why we want to change it. And I think the experience that the councillors bring to county is very, very important. And you're creating another position, which means that person has to get up to speed and stay on top of things for a period of 4 years, which I think 4 years might be an issue if, like Councillor Lawrence said, if you run into someone who is maybe really isn't doing the job or can't do the job. So, yeah, I'd say it's stay with status quo as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Thanks for that, Councillor Cutting.
I feel the same. I won't be supporting it, but it likens itself to me to somebody running for mayor when they've never been on council and learning the process of getting to that spot. There's a lot to learn in this job because it's in a whole different lingo as far as politics go. And to me, you earn the respect and you learn the job and you work your way up. And I agree with that as a warden as well.
Okay, thanks for that. All right, seeing no other questions or comments, I do have a motion here. It has been moved by Doug Hutchison, seconded by Rob Thompson, whereas the Council Municipality of West Grey has considered Resolution CW 154-17, passed by Grey County Council on August 10th, 2017, respecting the potential moving to direct election of the warden for a 4-year term beginning with the 2018 municipal election. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby does not support the direct election of the warden for a 4-year term beginning with the 2018 municipal election. Any other questions on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That would carry. Okay. And next we have some correspondence sent to us from the Township of Chatsworth.
Yes, the Township of Chatsworth Council is seeking support of their resolution to Grey County Council, indicating it does not support the closure of Grey Gables and is seeking to have lower tier municipalities in Grey County to form a multi-municipal committee to advocate with the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care and the Southwest LIN to support the status quo. Just seeking council direction.
Okay. Mr. Turner, thanks. Mr. Thompson has his hand up first.
Okay, I just would like to move forward that this be received for information only.
Okay, yeah, we don't need a seconder. No. Motion to receive. Okay, seeing no other, go ahead, Mr. Turner, please.
Yes, if council deems it appropriate to receive, would it be appropriate just to let county council know that it has been received by this municipality so that they're aware of it's been dealt with by West Grey?
Receive for information only?
Yeah.
Is that
Yes.
to the county?
Yeah.
Okay, so Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, just to go along with this, there was an interesting article in yesterday's paper. I don't know if you read it, from a minister in the Owen Sound area that...
Can I ask which paper? The Owen Sound
Owen
paper?
Sound sometimes, yes. And I can't remember the minister's name, but Sherman?
Yes.
Sherman?
David Sherman.
Yes, and he's been in and out of senior homes, working as a pastor, and also has parents been in and out of long-term care homes. And he was in the mindset that bigger is better, and that it's more efficient, and that you'll get better care. And so he was supportive of going to a larger home. So I thought that was interesting, because you hear articles on both sides of the story, and I thought his made a lot of sense. So I was pleased to see that.
If I might, it was good information, and he touched on one of the issues, and that's the specialized care that's being more and more required, and that's why you have to have specially trained staff, and it makes sense to not be duplicating that. And he had picked that up in his visits, yeah.
Yes, Reverend Sherman, very well acquainted with those things that constitute long-term and assisted living care, and not only as a past minister, he is retired now, but he is also a member of the Grey Bruce Health Board, so his knowledge is well-founded. So, okay, so we've got direction on that then. All right, what do we have from the Township of Oro-Medonte? Mark?
Yes, the Township of Oro-Medonte Council has Seeking support of the resolution, they have some concerns with the Ontario Wildlife Damage and Compensation Program administered by the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs. This is relating to like coyote claims, livestock claims. In my own personal experience administrating these claims, I felt the program does work well. The ministry does typically support any of the past decisions by our livestock valuer, or now it's called municipal investigator. So it's been very positive, I think, the relationship. So I would just recommend this be received for information.
And thanks for that, Mark. Being a livestock owner, I would definitely agree with you. Not to say this has ever been done before, but if you leave a carcass around long enough, it can look like just about anything. And so I think that the present system, from what I've seen by being here, and we do have our livestock evaluator in place, I think that most times, and I'll say very, very most times, I think that we get good service and get good results. Once in a while, there'll be a little one of that we're not sure of, but that happens in any business. So I would wholeheartedly agree with Mr. Turner's assessment in this information. Okay, so we receive this for information then. I'm seeing thumbs up and heads nodding to the affirmative. Okay? Very good. And one more item, Mark, go ahead, please.
So there has been an inquiry from basically a group of families that homeschool their children that are interested in utilizing the former Durham Public Library building, and they're looking to can commence use as early as September 11th. As you know, I don't believe council has any firm direction on whether or not they wish to sell the building at this point or use it for some other purposes, such as, I think, a community hub has been mentioned as a possible use. Obviously, wanting to lease it in that short time frame is kind of tight. I don't have any indication of what they might wish to pay to lease it, even if council is interested. I did indicate they may wish to discuss the possible use of the Durham Town Hall. They did apparently speak to Randy Murray, our recreation facilities manager. However, when the nursery used to lease it, it was $37.50 for half a day. And I think it was mentioned even at $50 a day that they weren't interested at that price. In the meantime, I also did receive on Sunday an email from an individual looking to rent the same old former Durham Library building for an upcoming Halloween fundraiser on October 27th and 28th. There's been a Halloween carnival the past 2 years, one for the Girl Guides and one for the West Grey Soccer Club. This is from Christine Hover Fairhall on the West Grey Soccer Club Executive Committee. And so they're wondering about using that hall for that purpose. It would be a Friday and Saturday, it appears. Again, there still are materials at that library. I think we were withholding cleaning that facility until a use was established for it, so I'm not sure what, even if council was interested in the lease, even one or the other, the expenses that would be incurred to have the facility ready for the use, etc. Obviously, with the homeschooling, it would be a longer-term commitment. I'm not sure what that commitment would be, but obviously a school year is usually from September to April anyway, May, June. Seeking council direction.
Okay, thanks very much, Mark. There may be some questions. Councilor Lawrence first, please.
I'm not sure if this is the same group, but I expect it is. There's been an inquiry for use of the Ellenwood Community Center for the same purpose, and they are looking at a lot of them. They weren't prepared to pay very much money. They wanted reduced, and quite frankly, it would cost more for the operation than what they're willing to pay. And we would have the same thing there as we looked at Ellenwood. You've got the liability. And even I wouldn't agree to this Halloween thing either. That building is not ready for anything, certainly not for kids running around in it. And I think until we know what we're doing with it, we shouldn't be putting it out for a long or short-term lease. We'll make a decision on it, and then we can look at it. But right now, I don't know how many have been in it, unless it's been drastically changed since the last time I was in it. It's not in any kind of shape to have somebody in.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Lawrence. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, just further to the library, the old library, the Carnegie Building. Last night's Chamber of Commerce meeting, they passed a resolution asking that council not sell that building. And so that was passed last night, so not to be sold.
Do they have any suggestions?
At this point, they don't. We'll look at it again in October to see if there's anything that we could suggest to council. Only suggestions only, but at this point, they've asked it not be sold.
Okay, so any other thoughts? Would it be appropriate then for the clerk to send a letter to say that we are not interested in, at this time? Okay, seeing that Marking has direction then to give that. Councillor Hergert.
I'm just curious, if we had Carrie work up the numbers for how much hydro was when it was being used and how much any of the maintenance costs, so we could get an estimate of how much it would cost to rent it per day or per month if somebody wanted to do that. Just work up the cost so that we had an idea. Maybe this organization, it's not feasible for them, but there could be other organizations in the future that if we had a cost and they were able to meet that cost, then we could rent the place out. That would be revenue coming in. It might not be a whole lot, but I think that is the idea of the community hub, is that it's a place that people could rent space, use space, have a meeting place. So if that's the idea that we want to work into, this might be a good way to establish what our costs are so that we are prepared if somebody comes forward and is able to meet those costs. So could we give some direction to Carrie, just that she would work up the numbers from the last time it was being used?
We also have to take into account the winter maintenance, the plowing and the salting and everything else too.
So, Councillor Hutchison first.
I was just thinking in terms, the other thing is parking. Didn't we change the parking situation there now with the church? There isn't as much parking there now as there used to be, is that right?
There'd be parking at the back.
At the back.
From the
That-
back.
That transfer hasn't quite finalized yet, so that's kind of,
But we haven't any rights to the parking, like it's been a gentleman's agreement as far as the church and the library, and I don't know, who knows if they'd even allow somebody else, like, yeah.
One question I had, do we want Carrie to do this work if we are not interested in renting the building? Because if we're interested in renting it, that's one thing, but to make her go ahead and do this before we know that, Councillor Cutting.
I think the discussion should be as to what we're going to do with the building prior to asking Carrie to do all that work. If it's decided we're going to keep it and rent it out or whatever, then at that point she can pull those numbers, and probably wouldn't take long because she's got the library that's been there for the last number of years, and see what that has cost, heat and everything. But there's no point until we know what we're doing with the building. If we're going to sell it, then we don't need to worry about renting it out.
Okay, did I see a hand down here? No? Okay.
I was just going to say, I think as well,
Councillor
Carrie's
first.
into budget.
Yeah.
I think Carrie has enough to do at this point, like maybe later, but she's into budget, and we don't need to be loading staff up too much.
And as Mark was just saying here, that could become a budget item if we choose maybe to do that at that time. Is that okay? Councillor Hergert? Okay. Very good. I think that's a very good approach. Going forward, Mr. Turner says he has no other items. Anybody questions to Mark about anything? All right, we're down to bylaws. Oh, we're 2 minutes overdue. Okay. We're just about on point here. excuse me. Okay, we have two bylaws going forward. First bylaw moved by Rebecca Herder, seconded by Bev Cutting. Be it resolved that bylaw number 86-2017 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 64-2017 being a bylaw to appoint officials and citizens to various committees of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Grey be now read a first, second, and third time, passed in number, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Okay, so we have some different names going on some committees. Any question? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That would carry. Okay, and the other bylaw, of course, is our regular confirming bylaw, moved by Rob Thompson, seconded by Doug Hutchison. Be resolved that bylaw number 87-2017, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the September 6, 2017 council meeting, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, be engrossed in the bylaw book. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that would carry. All right, very good. Those are the only two bylaws we have today. New business. We're down to that part in the council meeting, new business. Councillor Herder.
Can we have the noise bylaw brought forward, possibly with some specifics of after a certain time or a certain decibel? That way we do get notice.
It is in there.
But that way we get notice in advance of these events happening, so our police are aware that they're going on in our municipality as well. So that they have to ask permission in advance of their
Oh,
event.
I see. Get a permit or
Get a,
something.
yeah. Just so we're all aware of it and we don't have to, okay, go ahead, Mark.
We have had requests for exemptions to the noise bylaw. In terms of the playing of loud musical instruments, it's prohibited in all areas at all hours, basically. There's no time frame for when it's to end. And it is, yes, kind of in the eye of the beholder whether or not it's loud or not. Again, a noise bylaw is somewhat, you know, yeah, it's in the eye of the beholder again. Short of having noise receptors that measure the amount of decibels, that would be the only way of, you know, if you have to set a certain volume limit, and that would involve obviously a fairly expensive purchase of equipment and people to monitor all these events. So it is kind of problematic. As you know, yes, police do enforce the noise bylaw. So if someone has not requested an exemption and there are complaints, then it would be at the discretion of the police to determine whether or not it does constitute an issue.
Our last bylaw was very restrictive. I mean, it didn't allow singing or musical instruments. So I
Yes,
don't
there's a lot
know
of-
how this could have, I mean, this would not have been in line with our bylaw. I mean, we as the Durham girls, we had to get a special approval to have our outside practice.
Yes, correct. So,
So,
yes.
like,
If it wasn't already approved in some other venue, such as the Abate, which we do allow the music until 11 o'clock, or maybe 12 now. Otherwise, yes, the group should have requested an exemption.
and quite frankly, when they hadn't, and according to our bylaw, they should have been shut down.
That could have been done at the discretion of the police. They do have to account for what the ramifications might be if they try
Yeah,
to
yeah.
enforce closing an event, how that might, the public might react or the participants might react,
But 4 days of it is quite a bit.
Councillor Doug, I saw you first, and then Councillor Cutting.
Yeah, I think the big thing is to make people aware, like, there was a lot of questions about where this is coming from. So by applying for an exemption to say, okay, we're having a concert or whatever, then we're aware. So there was and the other problem was when people made complaints, the comments that came back from the Conservation Authority was they have permission, they have a permit. So the Conservation Authority gave them the right to have that concert there, but my question was, well, shouldn't that come through the municipality since it affects our municipality, right? But there seemed to be that gray area of who really gave them permission and so on. So, yeah, so, but anyways, it's nice to know. That's the big thing. It's the communication so that we know, and then again, if it affects a lot of people, they have to turn the music down. And so that's the problem.
Councillor Cutting.
Maybe our Conservation Authority members could take that back and just get some clarification as to why we were not informed and why they did not, deal with our noise bylaw. And do we have the authority to fine people for things like that, or an organization for an event like that that has not been brought through the municipality?
Go ahead, Mark.
I'll have to double check the bylaw. I'm not sure if they're short form. I think there may be set fines. I believe there is provision for that.
And do we have to do the set fines at the time, or can they be, could we fine them now now that we're aware of it and it's come
I
back?
would have to seek the input from the police chief on that.
Okay, maybe you could.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I just comment on
Yes.
the fact that the permit, Conservation says that they've given a permit for that, but it has to be within the confines of our bylaw, because they do lie in West Gray. They're not an organization under their own. They're not, no.
They are within the municipality's boundaries.
They are which?
They are within the municipality's
Oh,
boundaries.
absolutely. So they're, they have to abide by our bylaws.
Yep. There will be some discussion Monday. I like to look people in the eye when I discuss things, so I do have a meeting there Monday. Okay, Councillor Hutchison.
And just to go along that, Mr. Broman was taking formal complaints, so if people had complaints, they were said, phone Mr. Broman, and so he's been taking complaints, and he's getting some feedback, so you'll hear about it, I'm sure.
Okay, thanks for that. Any other new business? Seeing none? Addendums? No addendums today. Any notice of motion? Seeing none. Closed session, we had a closed session, and I believe we dealt with those items. We do not have any matters arising from closed session to be brought into open session. Question period at this time. I don't think we're going to wait 4 minutes. We're 4 minutes ahead. So any questions out there from anybody in the audience today? We always appreciate you being here, and thank you for your time. Seeing none, municipal act notices? None at this time. I would ask then for that one final motion. Councillor Hergert's move that we adjourn at 11:40. I'll accept that motion. Thank you, council, for your indulgence. With the mayor beaten away, he will be back soon, so he'll be able to take over again. But thank you for your attention and detail.